What is up, everyone? My name is JJ. I'm here with none other than
Me, Mew Venus, Stina slash Serenity.
um. She was the voice actor for Serenity from our game Aria's Choice. Um, and I say a lot of people were very impressed with your voice. They were always like, "Oh my goodness, she's so adorable." So
Oh.
I know Kumar, the programmer, was like, "Dang, she's amazing." I was just like, I mean, she does voice acting.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm very glad. I remember like feeling crushed by you guys, but I remember there was somewhere I was about to go, right? I think there was like a convention I was going to or a conference. It was the One Voice conference in Texas, and I was like, "Oh my god, I totally forgot I need to record for this thing like right now." And so I'm really glad it turned out cuz I would have been so sad. Like ugh.
Yeah, it was crazy because you're actually the third person because the first one uh wanted to do it and then realized the amount of work that came into the character and was like, I'm not comfortable doing this major role. I was just like,
Actually,
okay.
never mind.
Yeah. The second one's like, actually I can't do this anymore. I have other stuff going on. And then I was just like, hey, I know you're from Joyride Entertainment. You wanna voice
Yeah,
Serenity?
we're somewhat familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like,
Totally.
because it was either you or Kumar was like, how about you do it? I was like, me. I was
Me?
like, I was like, me. I was just like, I'm gonna give her the Starbucks girl voice. I don't know if we really want to hear that the whole. I was gonna
Oh,
like,
that's my vibe. Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, hey girl, like people would get tired of her instantly.
Oh my goodness. No, but I love a Genki girl, I do. And she just kind of encapsulates that. Like, she is very much the archetypal Genki girl, and she's so cute. Like, I'm so happy with how her final design turned out. It's
Mhm,
very different, I know, from like what was in concept, but
mhm.
like, she just she looks the way she sounded in my head, and I think now the way I sounded in the booth, so I'm just like, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Um, like the first design, which is actually like my OC. I feel like I would use her for a different character. So like I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with not using my design. Matter of fact, I can show it off right now because I was saving
I want to say they were both super solid
it.
designs.
So like literally, this is just
Oh my god, wait, I haven't seen this one. Oh, what?
yeah,
Oh, she's so cute.
yeah. That's just literally my like
Okay, well, I
VTuber.
hope you still use her
Yeah, like I'll use her in the future.
because this is news to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like this is one version of her. Then there was the other version of her that you might be more familiar with like a more
The
green.
concept, yeah, kind of like a siren.
Yeah, everyone's like, is she a siren? I was like, I guess so. Like,
Kinda. She's
yeah,
got like this singing thing going
yeah.
on.
Everyone kept thinking Aria and Serenity were sirens. I'm like, I guess so. I was
So
like, I
cute.
guess I'm good at making sirens for some reason.
Heck
so,
yeah.
so I just have an inconsistent art style, so I don't really do the art. But I do like the way she turned out. I'm personally, I didn't think the camisole was. I would have probably want like more of a sports jacket, but like it still came pretty together. Especially like the curly hair. I don't really see curly
Yeah.
hair often in like Potomacs and what.
Yeah, for real. So like I think the reason I like it is because this design I think like kind of what's the word? Like she's very cross-cultural, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
like she's got the curly Spaniard hair, but she's also got the kimono jacket, which is kind of a reference to like her upbringing in Japan, so I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. So I was trying to make her multicultural, which
Yeah.
which leads me to the Serenity specific question. It's already starting strong. Do you think Serenity and Silver are meant to be, or will they have a messy divorce?
Oh, I love that question, especially like having worked on some of the scripts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love Serenity and Silver. Like I really do. Whether they're meant to be, I feel like honestly, I don't think they get divorced because even if they ended up hating each other during the divorce, I think they would stay together to spite each other.
They're literally a K-drama couple where like they get separated and then they decide to stay together anyways. It's like, I thought you were supposed to end up divorced. Like you would have someone else be interested in Serenity, and then Silver's like, she's my woman. I was just like, right. I thought you hated her. Yeah. Just like,
I love that archetype though.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it in real life. There's so many things that I'm like, I stand this hard in a dating game, but if a real man ever treated me like this, I would drop him so fast.
I know. It's just like so funny because some people were like, I can't believe he said that to her where it was the scene where you guys are singing together and Silver catches you and he's just like, oh, don't go falling for me. But then he's like, oh, but you're kind of heavy. Can you please get up? They're like, how rude. They're like, oh.
Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah.
They're like, automatic 0.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. I love him though. I do as a character really like Silver. Because there's a lot of potential for like it to go into what is it? Like with a rich character, it's easy to fall into the trap of like that's their whole personality. Especially because like, you know, in the modern social landscape, rich people are not the coolest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it was really challenging figuring out like how to approach that, you know, like how do I approach this man as a real person and not as like a stereotype. But yeah, and more importantly, how does Serenity like learn to see through that stereotype and like get to know him as a person? So yeah, very interesting stuff.
Yeah, with
Ooh,
I don't know.
Concept sketches.
Yeah, I really like Serenity, but somehow Layla stole the show for me. Like, I don't know.
Oh, Layla is so cute though.
Yeah, like she could kill us, but I still want to protect her type of vibe. It's just like
did we end up keeping like the more plus size model for her?
Yeah, we did.
Good. Okay, good. Because that was one of my favorite things is that she has like that. I don't know, like she doesn't really have that shame, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's so refreshing to see a character who's like happy with themselves. Without having to conform, you know?
It's also so funny because she bags the most guys at once.
Hell yeah, girl! Hell yeah, get it! And that's for me, like how she steals the show is she's so down to earth. And she just pulls like a baddie, but like isn't what you'd expect on the outside, you know?
Yeah, because it's like confidence shows. Originally, I was going to have Michelangelo be exclusive for Aria because we didn't give him a lot of spotlight. I decided to let Serenity date him. Would you have liked to see more exclusive routes for the character?
Oh, for Michelangelo specifically?
Like for, like, let's say Serenity ended up with one of the guys, but Aria didn't. Layla ended up with one of the guys, but Aria didn't.
Oh, I see what you mean. I think as far as like basically like routes where Serenity paired with more characters, essentially, is what you're saying. Like instead of because I think she has one with Michelangelo, she has one where she ends up with Silver. Are those the only two, or is there another one?
No, she does end up with 5 characters. Everyone ends up with 5 characters. But I think someone has the exclusive. I don't remember who. But I think Tanner was originally supposed to be a Layla exclusive, but then I think Yeah, but then I accidentally messed it up the shipping. So Tanner
Oh god.
ends up with Serenity and Layla. So like, but not Aria. So Aria cannot get. Yeah.
You mean like
Yeah.
there's pairings that are exclusive to the side characters, and Aria cannot step into that guy's world.
Yeah.
I mean, not to make it all about Silver, but I just love Silver so gosh darn much. So that to me is, I'm like, that's Serenity's man, girl. Like, what are you doing? But I think, like, otherwise, I definitely think that lends, like, a sense of realism to the game, because it's like, you know, not everyone is gonna match with everyone. Like, there are some personalities that just don't go together. But I also think that when it comes to visual novels, that might piss people off, because I know for me personally, I will never forgive the creators of Bustafellows for not allowing me to date Adam Krylov in seasons 1 or 2. So I'm just like, as a player, oh god, that would piss me off. But as someone who like voice acted in and helped write like the script, yeah, Silver Serenity's man, for sure. Like, it just makes inherent sense to me.
Yeah, like I noticed that like usually when it comes to development and when it comes to like playing the game, there's two perspectives, and it's hard because with development it always makes more sense, but then like if you're the player, you're like, I want this instead though. So there needs to be a good balance, because I usually try to think in the player perspective, but at the same time I want a sense of realism. So like,
yeah.
and I think like for this game, I kind of find with the bag in that sense, because it doesn't feel like a fantasy, and because of that it kind of turns off the audience, because they're like, well, where's the love triangle?
Right.
Like,
I want a love triangle. I want competition. Yeah.
They're like, I want this to be all about me.
Oh gosh. Right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And so we talked about this with Whispers, and he was just like, oh yeah, I get it, because he's like, he loved the aspects of the girls bonding and whatnot, but then it breaks the immersion out a bit, because it's like, oh, but what about the dating aspect? Because I do remember when we had people testing out the game, and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm tired of talking with all these side characters. I was just like, bruh, like,
Tired of these women I can't date. Like,
I was just like, dang, I would think you want to actually interact with your best friends, but I guess not.
one would think, and I think, like, I don't know, for me personally, like, those were some of my, I'm gonna bring it back to Bustafellows forever, just because that's the one I 100%ed most recently. But just, like, that was one of my favorite parts of that game. Like, I absolutely loved hanging out with Adam and Luca. I thought that was super neat, and they gave me a better idea of who I as a protagonist was. But at the same time, it's like, I think that's one of the problems with otome games, is, like, you're appealing to a very specific fantasy, and in a lot of cases, like, in a way, if a game is an otome game, you come in with very different expectations than you would for just a regular visual novel. And it's hard to, like, balance some of those things. Like, no one cares in Steins Gate if you waste time talking to fucking whoever for, like, a million years. But when it's an otome, it's like, let me see the cute boy again, please. Which in my mind is fine. Like, that's super fine, and I don't fault anyone that feels that way, but at the same time, I'm just like, guys, we gotta think outside the box. This could be so much bigger and better. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I was definitely trying to think outside the box, because like, if this is the only game I make, but it's something I don't usually see in like K-dramas and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of the love triangle, like, being in it instead of seeing it. So I was just like, let's give Layla the love triangle, and then Ari's just like, dang, you know what? How is she so dense to this? Like, like, it's just like, and then imagine like she had her own love triangle, and people would be like, you're so dense, like, can you not see two?
What is wrong with you? Yeah.
Yeah. So if we had more time, we probably could have fleshed that out, but like 3 months, yeah. We also realized 3 months is not for a full game, it's only for a demo. So.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh. I think, like, as far as this project goes, that might have been, like, one of the most challenging parts was just, we all gotta get on the same page. We got 3 months to do this, and no one is, like, paid, because, you know, it's a jam, like, it's a volunteer basis. So it's just, like, that's such a difficult set of conditions to work with. I think that, like, if people saw behind the scenes, their heads would explode. Just from, like, how much effort goes into, like you said, even getting, like, a demo out the door. And I think in a lot of ways, like, this jam, it was my second jam, but, like, it was really, really a big learning experience for me on, like, oh my god, just how many hands are in the pot at a given time to make things happen, but also just, like, how important organization is and how important, like, delegation is. Just because I remember, like, all of us were losing our minds there at, like, the 2.5 month mark.
Oh my god. I don't even want to talk about the specifics of it. But you already know.
But it was scary.
Yeah.
Just know that the fact this game exists, dear listener, is a testament to the grit and tenacity of the human spirit in general.
Yeah.
Like, holy hell.
I really wanted to make sure people got their chance to shine, like this. So, but like,
I feel like you led really well there too, because it's just like you were very, like, respectful of everyone's points of view and very, like, invested in the success of the team as a whole. And I think it's easy to lose sight of that when things are, like, frustrating or there's a time crunch. So I think you handled, like, where we were at and what we had to work with very well.
I appreciate that, considering how this was my first project and first time being director, and I didn't know anything about making games, so I was just like, how? Like,
I know this is my interview and all, but if you did something differently, if you made another game, we're gonna say next year, just because I don't want to put you through the horror of imagining making another game in 2 months. If you made a game, like, next year and started working on it, what would you do differently?
Well, funny that you asked that.
You're working on one right now!
I am!
Oh, Lord!
No, actually, when we were doing the voices for Aria's Choice, because I couldn't really do much in that part, I was working on small projects, so, like, there are a few personal small projects I did by myself to, like, just get experience to figure out all types of aspects of it. So, like, I made a few games, like, one was called Memento. It was just, like, a small challenge to myself, where it was a story about, like, essentially lost, because, like, and I reuse assets and whatnot. And I also made, like, 2 other games along the way. They're not, like, Aria's level type of game. It's just, like, stuff where I'm just, like, doing stuff because I want to. But if you guys do want a game where you get to date whoever you want, I do have a game called A Date to Remember, because it's like a POV type of perspective. The art style is not up to this level, though, unfortunately, because it's my drawing. So it's a little goofy. But
you draw better than I can. So.
the what I would say is that I would do all the stuff I know I could probably do first, and then get other people to do the last part of it. So, like, because art is not really confidence, or, like, I feel like when it comes to, like, getting, like, a Kickstarter or something like that, it's really the art that gets people invested. So because people, because people don't need the voice actor, so, like, you can always get the voice actors later. But the writing I could do, because we are working on Lloyd's Playbook, which is kind of a sequel to Aria's Choice. Like, you don't need to know the characters of Aria's Choice, but they have some kind of connection to the characters of Aria's Choice. And so we're having a fun time making the script this time, because one, people are not really putting their input besides just me and one other person, so it's not like 100 different inputs. Because the biggest problem was that having too many writers is that even if you give them directions on how to write or what to write, they won't follow the direction. They will
Well,
still.
it's difficult to match tone. Like, I think that part of what made the project a little difficult is like we had a couple different editors, but what an editor does in the minds of the editors was different from editor to editor. And additionally, like having, 5 or 6 different writers, it's hard to consolidate the tone. Like even with editors, you know what I mean? Like I do think that like that totally makes sense. Because I've worked on a couple different games that had like a writing team, but usually it was like 2 or 3 people. I think, how many writers were on this project?
Too many.
There were a lot. There were a lot.
Because we had a lead writer who ended up bouncing like without noticing us. So then we had someone who led the Damien route, someone who led the Ethan route, and then we had to finish up, like me and the programmer. We are not skilled at writing, mind you. We had to do the rest of the route because Ethan, and you already know the Ethan route. You already know what's up with the Ethan route. So the Damien route was already long enough in itself, and he's like the main route. Then you had the Ethan route where you're like, oh, he really is main lead too, because 100+ pages, and we didn't even get to like halfway through.
Straight up, I remember like editing the Damien route, I think was how I spent most of my time on this project. Like, because it was such a long route, and I don't say that in a bad way. Like, I think that one ended up, I don't know, like Damien ended up really well developed, I feel like, as a character, so I don't regret it, but at the same time I'm like, but we had so many routes to get to. Like,
yeah, that was just one, and then we had the Ethan route, and you're like, oh, he's longer. Oh.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I gotta finish the Damien route, because I remember you saying, like, this is kind of supposed to be, like, the main route. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it's like, Ethan will be my second priority. And then I got to the Ethan route, and I was like, oh my god, like...
We were all like that. We're like, what happened? He's like, I got invested.